Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Bought a Watch. It's been a really long time since I've done this. Lots of stuff has happened to me. One of the main things being that I've actually moved to London, which is kind of part of the reason why I don't seem to have any spare time anymore. I would really like to post more and talk watches, but I guess we'll see how this video goes. I'm trying to just do it all in one take. Straight off the bat, I have no idea where my mic is, so apologies for the audio. And I'm likely to point taken. I'm likely to be a bit rusty, but I will remember to say please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and hit the notification bell icon down there. Can't really hurt. At my current rate, you won't get another notification from me until next year, so you may as well hit it if you are at all interested. Before I get into today's video, a quick wrist check. I am wearing the rectangular, no R on the end there, bead blasted turtle homage. A great daily wearer, kind of militaristic styling there, and I've got it on this Cordura Vario strap. NATO, there you go. If you're interested, I will leave a full review in the top hand corner up here. Great looking watch, and do check that out after today's video. Now onto the main event. Here I've got a little black leatherette box. I don't think it's real leather. And I'm not going to keep you waiting. I did tease this video on my similarly abandoned Instagram a good while ago in September of last year, I think. So that's September 21. And there it is, the Aesop Mens Mechanical Watch Flying Tourbillon Male. Not entirely a correct title. I will get into that in a little bit. So I picked this one up for $300. Just under £230. I will be leaving an affiliate link in the description down below if you're at all interested. That is a little finder's fee for me at no extra cost to you guys, and really does help the channel out and allows me to buy more watches to review. Before we get into this watch, I do like to give a little more detail on the history of the tourbillon, which is perhaps one of watchmaking's most coveted, but ultimately sort of useless complications. And I know this has been covered quite a few times, so I'm going to try and keep it quick and bring up a whole bunch of interesting facts that I wasn't aware of. So, basic history lesson. The tourbillon, which translates to whirlwind in French, was an escapement developed and patented by Swiss-French watchmaker Louis Breguet. And aside from looking incredibly flashy, you will notice that the entire escapement and balance wheel rotate within what is known as a carousel. Now, what this design effectively achieves is averaging out any positional errors in the watch. For example, in a typical watch, you may find that if it's left, face down or left on its side, it may run slow or fast, depending on the position. But the tourbillon, originally intended for pocket watches, simulates being perpetually rotated, even if left standing in one position for prolonged periods of times. Now, I did say that this is ultimately sort of useless because for a typical wristwatch, for the most part, and for most of its life, is attached to your wrist, which will move around and experience all sorts of positions, which effectively achieve the same sort of effect. Like I said, this is the Aesop Mens Mechanical Watch Flying Tourbillon Male, although it is definitely not a flying tourbillon. If you are interested in what a flying tourbillon is meant to look like, I can recommend checking out Honest Watch Reviews video. I will leave a link again up in the top hand corner there if you want to go check that out. So let's talk about the watch in question. So dimensions here, we have a 42mm case, a 50mm lug to lug, a 20mm lug width, and a very slimming 10.7mm thickness. As you can see, my camera is incredibly, struggling to focus on the watch because, we can talk about finishing now, this is an entirely polished case. Now, it is comprised of 3 layers, so we have that fixed simple high polished bezel. We have a very similar styled and fairly elegant rounded case with a large onion style crown at the 3 o'clock position. And then on the back we have a very simple case back. Doesn't detract from the main event, which is of course under this sapphire crystal. Before we get into that, in terms of dial, we have a very plain black printed dial with Roman numerals and a train track styled minute track running around the edge. We have Aesop Tourbillon movement under the 12 o'clock position, and slightly offset faux blued Breguet styled hands, which I think have just been stamped. They do have little loom dots in them. I will throw up a loom shot now if you're interested. Nothing to shout home about. But then, of course, below that we have the main event, which is that massive hole with a secondary minute track around it to accommodate the tourbillon movement. Honestly, and obviously, this is where the magic is for me in this watch. Something so pleasing about holding this up to the light and looking through the movement. It's just incredibly satisfying to see it whirl around. The finishing on the movement is a little rough. It looks good from the front, but around the back, thanks to this incredibly large display case back, we can see the movement with all its machine applied finishing. So what do we have here? We have radial kind of Geneva striping kind of spiraling out from the center there. We have some exposed jewels and some faux blued screws along with non-faux blued screws. I don't know why they did half and half. I know on slightly more expensive models you can get those, and even skeletonized movements that I've seen, which do look pretty impressive considering they're all done by machine. Oh, and we also have a slight high polish beveled edge on the tourbillon opening. So next I would typically talk about the strap, but I've actually gotten rid of the supplied leather strap. It was a kind of black faux croc leather strap with a deployment buckle. I would advise you to do the same. I popped it on this rather premium Artem sailcloth strap. I think it works incredibly well with the black dial, and I like the contrasting brushing on the buckle. If you're interested in the sailcloth straps, I have done a dedicated video up and I'll post it in the top hand corner up here. So that kind of does it for basic specs. So I'll talk about, my original thoughts of this watch. I like to give a couple reasons why not to buy this watch, as I found that when I look up reviews, I already want the watch and I'm looking for any reason to not pick it up effectively so that I won't be disappointed when it arrives on my doorstep. So here's my best attempt. So basically all I can say about this watch is designed all around that movement. That's for $300. They've clearly bought the movement. I'm not sure how much it costs on its own, but that seems to be where most of the money's gone. So other than the movement, there really isn't much going on here. We have got a simple polish finishing, a simple stamped handset and dial. The dial was an intentional choice, I should mention on my part. I know you can get a plain white dial, very similar to this, or even adventurine dial options, which is that kind of sparkly starry night sky. But in my opinion, I thought that would look a bit too dazzling, a bit too much, and detract from the tourbillon. So, they could have perhaps introduced some brushing on the case. I don't know how that would have looked, just to bring in some contrasting finishing and some visual appeal. Also, I should probably say this watch is unlikely to fit or be used as a daily wearer. It has negligible water resistance, doesn't really have it's got a lack of a date complication, and it's most likely going to have extortionate servicing costs. They did include in the box, I probably should have mentioned, a little piece of paper which goes through some suggested costs, I guess. Maintenance to the movement being $25, which doesn't sound too bad, but good luck getting prices like this in the UK. I imagine that's not going to happen, but I guess you could always send it back to Aesop if you can be bothered, and maybe they will honor those prices. And it's not going to be for everyone, this watch. All that being said, though, for a watchmaking enthusiast on a budget who never intends on spending the tens to hundreds of thousands on getting myself a Swiss tourbillon, this really is a piece that is likely to stay in my collection for the foreseeable future, and just kind of taken out on special occasions, or just when I want to kind of show people some really cool examples of watchmaking, or just to look, to be honest, just to stare into that tourbillon movement. and enjoy it whirling around. Quite incredible. Anyway, all that's left to say is I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. Bye.